What is the temperature where you guys are at? Drop your city, state, or your city and province into the chat. I want to know the temps from around the US and Canada right now. Minus 13 in Wisconsin, Utah's 32, 45 in Chattanooga. I saw Florida, you're up over 60. That's great. Yeah, I think I'm minus 3 here in Detroit. I know Northern Michigan, I saw like minus 32 with the wind chill. I hope everyone's staying warm, and there is no better place to be. Minus 10, Fargo, of course. Thank you for joining us, Callie from Fargo. Minus 21. We know it's cold there this time of year for sure. Well, hopefully for most of you, there's no better place to be than on this warm, we'll call it warm winter webinar because you're all inside, I would imagine, on this cold winter day. So thank you all for joining us for this webinar series. As you know, every year, I had somebody ask me the other day, how do you guys determine, what webinars you do and when you do them? So just to kind of give you an idea of our cadence, every year we do a winter webinar series and we do a summer webinar series. And we always do the webinars, usually 6 to 8 of them in the winter, 6 to 8 of them in the summer. And we always, of course, sprinkle a flurry in other webinars, as you know, business planning and so forth. But we always do the webinars immediately following the summits and the retreats. And we do that. Yes, thank you for dropping the workbook in the chat. I'm sorry. While I'm talking, everyone should be clicking on that link and getting your hands on the workbook that we're going to use from today, that we're going to operate from today. At a minimum, if you don't print it, at least get it up on the side of your screen because there's some resources that I'm going to cover with you in a minute. Anyways, people ask, Jeff, how do you determine the webinars, when you do them? Well, here's our cadence, okay? We always do them after the summits and the retreats for two reasons. Number one, because we know that there were a lot of you that went to the summit, in this particular case last week. As you know, we were in Phoenix, Arizona. Um, and we know there's a lot of you that went there, but one of the big complaints we get is, Jeff, you guys have 6 breakouts a day, and I'm only one person. So that's 6, 12, 18 breakouts over 3.5 days, and I'm only one person, and they happen at the same time. And so, for those of you that were at the summit, we do the webinars immediately following. Thank you for the kind words about the event. We do the webinars immediately following because for those of you that were like, man, I went to that marketing webinar, but I really wanted to go to that listing webinar. Well, now you have an opportunity to be in the listing. I'm sorry, I wanted to go to that marketing breakout and the listing breakout. I couldn't choose between the two, so I went to the marketing one, but I really want the info from the seller one. And so the webinars are designed, in case you're wondering, we take actually the content from those breakouts and we essentially repurpose them and we share them in these webinars. Now, of course, we only have 6 or 7 webinars, so we can't share all of them. And that's why it's important that you get to the summits and the retreats when you can. But we do our best to pick what we think were our most populated ones, the ones that had the most people in the room, and those become our webinars the following week. We also do the webinars right after the summits and the retreats, especially with the summit, because we almost never do a virtual option for the retreat. The summer event, we want you to get in your car or get on an airplane and get up to Traverse City, Michigan. By the way, one last time this summer. We're moving it because we're outgrowing Traverse City. But we don't ever do a live stream of that because we want you physically there. But for the summit, for our live streamers, that for those of you that watched it on the live stream last week, we only live stream what happens on the main stage, and so you weren't able to see what the breakouts were. So now you get a little bit of a taste of what we covered in our breakouts. So, anyways, for anyone that was wondering kind of how we put that together, you now know. The cadence moving forward is usually a week or two after the summit and a week or two after the retreat. We have the webinar series for you to get caught up. And so today we're talking specifically on the seller side of the business. Of course, as you know, that happens to be my area of expertise. For those that are not familiar, by the way, if you're a first timer, do me a favor, drop in the chat if you're a first timer joining us. And before you drop in the chat, change it from, it defaults to host and panelist, change it to everyone. All right, so make sure you change that to everyone. If you're a first timer, just drop first timer in the chat. I want to see our first timers who are on with us today. If you haven't been to a Glover U event or any of our webinars, I want to see where our first timers are at. All right, thank you for joining us. So many of you are first timers. Welcome, welcome. So For those that are first timers, if you're not familiar, I'll just get this out of the way quickly then. My name's Jeff Glover. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. I've been listing and selling real estate now 23 years. I'm still in the trenches with you. Just to give you an idea, I'm taking anywhere from 6 to 10 listings a month myself personally. Our real estate team of 32 full-time agents averages 60 to 70 listings taken per month as a team, with just 32 full-time agents. And I'm still in the trenches with you. In the last decade, in the last 10 years, I have personally averaged over 100 transactions a year myself. So I know exactly what you're dealing with. I know exactly what you're going through. Glover U, for those of you that are not familiar, is the what I'm told the fastest growing training and coaching company that's broker agnostic. Which means we have coaches and clients from literally every single company represented. So it doesn't matter what company you're with. I can promise you, you are not alone when you come to our events. We've got audience members. In fact, we just had our record-breaking event last week. I was also told that there were two other events that took place last week, and we beat both of those in attendance. So we were, of course, that was a proud moment for us to be considered at the level of other companies that have been around for decades to be able to compete at that level. Anyways, you're hearing from me today on the seller side because that's what I specialize in. That's what I'm known for. Anytime there's any questions about building a listing business, I'm usually the one to write the plan to help you with that. And so, before I get into today's topic, which is essentially where our listings are coming from, how we're making contacts with them today, and most importantly, how we're getting them sold. Those are essentially three things we're going to cover today: where they're coming from, how we're getting into discussion with them, how we're getting into contact with them, and most importantly, how we're getting them sold. That's, of course, what we advertised that we were going to cover today. And so I'm going to make sure by the time we're done at the top of the hour, you have enough to go out into the trenches, take an extra listing or two this month, and or get one sold next month. All right. So before we do that, we've got a couple quick resources I want to share with you. I'll have them throw those up on the screen. Now, I'm not going to bore you with all of the details of all of them. If you don't currently have the Glover U app on your phone, you should. All of our resources are in there. Every time we're releasing new stuff, it goes right into the app. For instance, one of our newest resources is the pricing and price reduction guide. We're going to cover some of that stuff today. That's in there. The next resource that we're working on is presenting low offers and getting low offers accepted. That will be the next resource that goes into the app. So always make sure you're checking that. And anytime we have something that will be of value, we drop it into the app. It's one of our favorite tools to share with you, and most of the stuff in there is free, so take advantage of it. That's resource number one. Make sure you get your hands on the app. You can just scan that QR code. On the next slide, I believe we've got the rest of the resources. And if not, I can just cover them. Oh, nope, we don't. Okay, that's fine. So the app will get you everything you need. But there's one other resource that I want to make sure that I share with you, and I'm just making a note to myself because I just thought of another free resource that we can add. So let me make a note. So the other tool that I want to make sure you have your hands on is the daily message. So every day, every Monday, every Tuesday, every Wednesday, every Thursday, every Friday. And there you go. You have the link that'll take you to all of our resources. Every day of the week, I'm writing a message to help you list and sell more real estate. Sometimes it's, I went on an appointment last night. Here is the objection I got from the seller. Here's how I handled it. Other times it's, hey, I just changed this in my social media video strategy, and now I'm actually getting sellers raising their hands, reaching out to me. Anything I can teach you as it relates to listing and selling more real estate, I share in the daily message. So for those of you that don't have the daily message, take out your cell phones and open up your text messages. You're going to text the word morning to 55444. They just dropped it in the chat for you as well. Text the word morning to 55444. Now that daily message comes out via email. All right. And it usually goes out around 8:30, 9 o'clock every morning. Of course, I travel for tour stops a lot, so I'm in different time zones, so sometimes it's a little later. But that's a message I write every single day. It's not pre-planned. People ask me, Jeff, how do you write the daily message? Every morning I wake up. And I know I have a calendar appointment. It's an appointment in my calendar. And the appointment in my calendar is to think about what I accomplished in the previous day. And so, how I write the message every morning is I just think about what did I do yesterday? What sellers did I talk to? What buyers did I talk to? What appointments did I go on? What did I do on social media that got me a lead? How did I generate a referral? Right? Like I just think about what did I accomplish yesterday? And then I go to start writing and I write about whatever it is that I think is going to help you. So get your hands on that. It's free. I'm gifting you a subscription. Again, text the word morning to 55444. All right. If you have the app and you have the daily message, you pretty much have everything you need. All right. Okay. So those are the main resources that I wanted to get to you. Let's start in with today's topic. So we're going to cover three things. Number one, where the majority of our listings are coming from. Number two, how we're making contact with those. And number three, how we're getting them sold. And so I hope you can appreciate, and I think this is probably why, when we look at our event last week, there's a reason why we had more people in our room than people who've been doing this for 20 years and for 50 years. Why? Because I'm in it with you. I know exactly what you're going through. And so to put today's content together, here's what I did. I went back and looked at where all of our listings came from in the last 12 months. And I broke them up into four categories. All right. There's four areas. Now, we get listing agent to agent referrals. We get listings from internet leads. We get listings from open houses, but those are kind of inconsistent. I narrowed it down to the four consistent areas where we're getting listings today. They're coming from these four areas. Okay. Number one, from our database. And I want you to put in parentheses next to that if you're taking notes in the workbook, which, by the way, if you're just joining us, I'll have them drop the workbook in the chat for you. The workbook has all the resources, all right? So make sure you get your hands on the workbook because that's where all of the free resources can be found. But when I talk database, I'm talking specifically social media. And I'm going to get into that in just a second. There's the workbook for you. They just dropped it in the chat. The second area that I'm seeing are consistent listings from is expireds. Now, some of you will say, well, Jeff, you always work expireds. You're right, I do. And sometimes it's our number 4 source of listings. Sometimes it's our number 3 source of listings. And right now it's our number 2 source of seller listings. Why is that? Because every market around the country and Canada, including here in Detroit, we have more expires than we know what to do with. I mean, just look back, just from the first of the month, I was meeting with our one of our top producers yesterday, and he was telling me in our one-on-one that he just now finished up getting through every single home that came off the market on the first. And I followed it up with how many listings will you take from the expireds from the first? His answer, between 6 and 8, just from one day. 6 and 8, 6 to 8 listings from one day following our system. And so, without question, I think most of you know that that is a great source of business. And that's our number 2 source of business right now. Our number 3 source is seller business. The number 3 source of seller business, for sale by owners. No surprise there. For sale by owners. And our number 4 source of seller business, hybrid farming. Hybrid farming. Now, for those of you that are like struggling to write down for sale by owner or FSBO, I get it, right? If you worked a for sale by owner a couple of years ago, I can understand why you're not excited to even think about working for sale by owners again, okay? Because a couple of years ago, if you called them for sale by owner, it was, are you kidding me? Your business is about to be extinct. I got 5 people lined up to buy this house. That is not the case anymore. So for sale by owners are absolutely a good source to work again, and I'm going to talk about how to work them in a second. And then finally, hybrid farming. Hybrid farming. Jeff, what is hybrid farming? Okay, everyone knows what database is. Includes, by the way, when I say include social media, that means your Instagram followers, your Facebook friends. These are people that are in your database. Okay, we consider social media a database. Jeff, how do you get their contact information? You do giveaways. You do giveaways on social. People ask me all the time, Jeff, I've heard you say database includes social media, but the thing is, I don't have their contact information. Okay, well, do giveaways. Once a quarter, do a giveaway, a video. Valentine's Day is around the corner. You're giving away a gift card to a favorite restaurant. Don't have it attached to anything like leads or transactions. That's how you get in trouble. Just do a friendly giveaway. And they have to enter to win this giveaway. And oh, by the way, when they enter to win, they have to give you their contact information. That's how you get the people that are following you on Instagram and following you on Facebook. Isn't it interesting how you'll have a video that has 537 views, but then it only gets 13 likes? Well, who were the 520 people that saw it and didn't engage with that? I have no idea who those people are. You'll find out if you do a giveaway. You'll find out if you do a quarterly giveaway. Why? Because if they're seeing your stuff, they're gonna enter to win, and now you've got their contact information. So when I say database, please understand that I'm referring to not just your past clients and sphere of influence. I'm also referring to the people that follow you on Instagram, your friends on Facebook. That's a big area of listing opportunities for us. When I look at our listing board, I'll see SOI dash Instagram, sphere of influence dash Instagram. Past client dash Facebook, meaning they're using social media to reach out to us because they're following you, you're following them, they're friends with you, you're friends with them. That is a huge source of listing opportunities for us. It's our number one source, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Again, everyone knows what expireds are, everyone knows what for sale by owners are, and then hybrid farming. Somebody asked a question in the chat, and I can't see everything as I'm going, but from time to time I might see a question in there that I can answer. Where do you get their data? If you go to gloveru.com/partners, that's gloveru.com/partners, you'll see every one that we use to get data from, particularly RedX and Vulcan 7. And if they're on our website, again, and if I can have that dropped in the chat from GloverU Ops team, again, that's gloveru.com/partners, that you're going to see RedX and Vulcan in there, and they provide discounts to consumers like you if you signed up through Glover U. So don't go to their public sites. You're going to pay more. You'll pay less by going through there. So there it is in the chat. Okay. And then finally, hybrid farming. Jeff, what's hybrid farming? All right. Hybrid farming is, and some of you might already do this to some degree because I get the question, Jeff, what's hybrid farming? Uh, Most of you are familiar with traditional farming, which is sending postcards, mailings and so forth to the same neighborhood over and over and over and over. That's traditional farming. Okay, it's heavy mailing based. Um, and then a lot of you are also familiar with adding value to the database, like when you have past clients and when you have sphere of influence. You do events, you do giveaways, you do pies around Thanksgiving, you do emails to them, you call them, you thank them for their business, you ask them for business. So it's essentially, if you were to take traditional farming plus all the things you do to add value to your database and merge them together, you get hybrid farming. So in other words, what hybrid farming is it's identifying a particular area, a particular set of, 200 doors, 300 doors, 250 doors, and adding value to that group once monthly. So instead of just sending postcards, maybe in January you door knock. Well, probably not in January, if depending on where you're at. In January you make a phone call, right? In February you send a mailing. In March you door knock. In April you host an event. In May you send them a video text. In April you send them a video text. In May you send them an email, right? Like every month you're mixing up the touches, but the key to hybrid farming working is one item of value per month, 12 months in a row, and I promise you, you will get listing business from your hybrid farm. All right, so those are the four types of where our listings are coming from right now. I want to dig a little deeper because if I'm in your shoes, I may be wondering, Jeff, how do you make contact with these four? Because I want to share with you, when people think you've heard the ism, real estate is a contact sport. When people hear contact sport, I think they think cold call. I didn't say real estate is a cold call sport. Real estate is a contact sport. And so I have several ways that we are making contact today that you may not have heard. Now, if you're at the summit last week, you heard me share most of these. All right, if you weren't at the summit last week, you haven't heard these shared before. And I'm going to go through the contacts, and then I'm going to walk you through some ways to get these people to opt in. How do you get these folks to give you their information, Jeff, so you can reach out to them? All right, so let me share with you the contacts first, and then I'm going to share with you some tactics and things that we're using to get them to opt in. Okay, so these are in I would say no particular order, but certainly the first handful are still, in my opinion, the most effective. All right. So go ahead, write down number one. In other words, where do I get seller contacts today? How can I get more seller leads? How can I get more conversations with sellers? Here's the list. Ready? Number one. And the number one won't surprise you. and it's the good old-fashioned phone call. The good old-fashioned phone call. That is still, when I look at our listing board and our sales board, it's still in the top three of ways we make contact today. The good old-fashioned phone call. And what's so fascinating to me is as technology advances, okay, this is just something I'm experiencing as an agent. You tell me if you feel the same way. Tell me in the chat if you feel the same way when I say what I'm about to say. As AI and technology has advanced quickly over the last 18 months. I mean, think about it. 18 months ago, we weren't even talking about ChatGPT, right? As technology has advanced over the last 18 months, I am sensing as a realtor who makes calls, knocks on doors, does all the things that you do, I'm noticing that consumers actually appreciate some of the more traditional stuff. I'm noticing that consumers actually appreciate when I show up at their front door. I'm noticing, with the exception of a few knuckleheads, you guys are experiencing that, right? I'm noticing that consumers are actually like, wow, it's nice to finally talk to a live person. Is this a bot? Nope, this is not a bot. My name's Jeff Glover and I'm a local realtor. Are you real? Well, right now it's 11:24 a.m. Eastern time. The temperature outside is -2 degrees. Yep, I'm real, right? Like, so I'm noticing that consumers are very much appreciating some of the more traditional stuff. And not only that, but I'm also seeing in the industry, all right, that there's so many knucklehead trainers and quote unquote coaches out there that haven't sold a home in the last decade or maybe at all that are telling agents that they can make money without picking up the phone. Okay. Can you make money without picking up the phone? Sure. But you should never be thinking like that's the best way to make money. It isn't. All right. And so what I'm noticing is even though people are saying to me, like, Jeff, I'm not getting the same results that I used to. Not as many people are answering. Guess what's happening? Less agents are using the traditional techniques. And when less agents use the traditional techniques, the ones that do are actually going to experience higher conversion rates. We just had our prospecting live. It was in November, just before the year was over. And I set a goal to prove to everyone in the room. So we do these a couple times a year where I get on, for you can come prospect with me for 2 days. You got to fly to Detroit to do it. Again, it's called Prospecting Live. Anyways, I prospect for 2 days straight with all of the attendees, and they're all prospecting too. And I opened up Prospecting Live by stating a goal. I said, you guys, my goal for the next 2 days is to prove that you can still average 10 contacts an hour. And in 2 days after we were done, I totaled up my talk time, meaning the time I started till the time I ended. I totaled up my talk time and I divided it by my contacts and I averaged 11 contacts an hour in those 2 days in November. That was just 2 months ago. So for anyone who says cold calling's dead, you can't get the results on the phones that you used to, I would say come join me while I prospect and I will prove you wrong. All right, so number one is a good old-fashioned phone call. Number two is a written text message. A written text message. Now, I know there's going to be questions and chatter and stuff in the chat, and I'm just going to tell you now, like everyone's jurisdiction is different of what you can do and can't do. So I'm not going to answer any do not call questions. I'm not going to answer any text law questions. Check with your broker, check with whoever you want to check with on this. Every state, every province has different rules around this. So I'm not going to get into answering those questions. Do what you want with that. Okay. But number two is a written text message. A written text message, meaning like you're actually just writing a text and sending it. My favorite script, many of you know this because you've been attending our events. My favorite script, I was wondering if you're still accepting offers on your home on blank street. If you are, could you give me a call back? Pretty simple. I was wondering if you're still accepting offers on your home on Banana Street, Apple Street, Washington Street, whatever. If you are, could you give me a call back? That is the number one response getter that you can have. Okay, I've tried them all. I've tested them all. That's the one. All right. That's number two. Number three, a video text message. A video text message. Again, I'm going through all of the ways we can make contact today with those four sources. A video text message. A video text. Same message. Same message. Mario, to answer your question, yep, I use Vulcan 7. We use Vulcan 7 and we use Red X. Now, I prefer when I'm dialing, I have a Vulcan 7 headset on. But I will tell you that all of our other agents who also work expireds, it's a mixture. It's like a coin flip between Vulcan and Red X. Okay, a video text message. Number three, well, Jeff, what's the video text message? The same script. I was wondering if you're still accepting offers on your home on blank street. Same script. I just hold out my phone and I shoot the video. Number four is email. Jeff, what do you say in email? Same thing. I was wondering if you're still accepting offers on your home on blank street. Same thing in the email. Don't send a fancy, hey, 9 reasons why homes don't sell today. Don't do any of that stuff. They're not going to open it. It's very spammy. Super simple. Subject line, I was wondering. Body of the email, if you're still accepting offers on your home on blank street. Okay. Number five is DMs, direct message through Instagram, through Facebook, direct message. Well, Jeff, they go to spam, don't they? Well, first of all, if you're running ads, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but if you're running ads on Meta, when you get a lead, you have 24 hours to respond to that lead and it will show up in their primary inbox. Okay, so if you're running ads through Meta, which I'm not even talking about ads right now, I'm just talking about finding these people on Instagram or Facebook. When I find them on Instagram or Facebook and I DM them, by the way, how do you find them, Jeff? Well, I take their first name, their last name, their email address, and I just type the word Instagram and I put it into Google or ChatGPT and I ask it to find their social media profiles. Sometimes I find them, sometimes I don't. It doesn't matter. Sometimes they respond to me, sometimes they don't. It doesn't matter. It's just a numbers game. DM them is number five. Number six, how do I make contacts to these four sources today? Mailings with QR codes. Mailings with QR codes. Yeah, listen, I mentioned if you just joined us, I'm not going to comment. Every state, everyone has different rules as it relates to do not call and how you can text and how you can call. I'm not going to get into any of that. Check with your brokerage. There's no point in even talking about it in the chat because I'm not going to answer those. Mailing with QR codes. Okay, if I send out a mailing to expireds and I ask them the question, what could you sell for today? And they scan it, then I get their contact information. I have opted in information. Number seven, targeted doors. Targeted doors. So number four is email. Number five is DMs, direct message. Number six is mailings with QR codes. So they scan it, I get their contact information. Number seven is targeted doors. I go right to their door. Targeted door is you have an address. Like for instance, my rule of thumb has been for years, if I don't have an appointment to go on, I have to spend 1 hour outdoor knocking. A lot of you have heard that story. So what do? I go target expireds. I go target for sale by owners. Targeted means you're going out. I'm going out and visiting 3 to 5 of them. Yep, I'm driving 20 minutes north, 20 minutes west, 20 minutes east. I'm going to visit 3 to 5 of them. That's targeted doors. Eight is canvassing doors. Canvassing doors. And for our friends in Canada, this is usually how you have to work expireds. You can't just target the expired, you have to work the neighborhood as well. Canvassing. This is going out and hitting 100 doors, 50 doors. My rule of thumb, by the way, for those of you that want to do canvassing doors, especially if it's around an expired or a FISBO, 10 doors to the left, 10 doors to the right, 10 doors across the street, and you're canvassing the area now. Where are we getting contacts from today? Of course, open houses. Number 9 is open houses. Number 10 is AI, artificial intelligence call/text. Artificial call/text on opt-ins. Artificial call/text on opt-ins. Now, if I could get the rep from Glover U, if you can move forward to if you can put up on the screen the lead gen flow slide for AI, that would be helpful. I'm going to show how we get opt-ins using AI. So we'll get that thrown up on the screen, but for now, I want you to write down AI call/text opt-ins. They're opting in, okay? Because you can use right now, there are AI systems that will make outbound phone calls to you or for you for leads that have not opted in. Now, I do not recommend that. You can get probably in a little bit of trouble for that, okay? So that's why I'm not even going to talk about the do not call stuff. Check with your broker on that. But where you are doing it legal is once they opt in. So, Jeff, how do I get them to opt in to give me their information so that I can automate some of this stuff? Okay. Well, there's three steps to using AI to do some of this for you. And I'm going to explain this under this one, number 10. Okay. So you're going to create, first of all, you're going to create a lead magnet. Okay. By the way, you can use ChatGPT to create a lead magnet. The lead magnet can be, for instance, 7 ways. I'm just going to give you an example. 7 ways to get top dollar for your home this spring. What is a lead magnet, Jeff? A lead magnet is essentially a download. Okay. So a lead magnet is something of value. Well, why would I download that? Well, most people wouldn't unless they were thinking of selling their home this spring. So you can use AI, in this case, ChatGPT, can create a document for you that you can help. You can feed it some information and you can dress it up and make it look pretty. Maybe you put it through Canva so it looks great. You're creating a download that has value to the consumer. That lead magnet is the download. The download is the value. The value could be 7 ways to get your offer accepted this spring. Whatever it is, whatever you think consumers, and you can just ask ChatGPT, what, as it relates to real estate, what are consumers searching for right now? What are some of their questions? All right, so step one, you create the download. Step two, we need to create advertising to promote it. So you could take out your phone and record a video and say, start it off by saying, sellers are leaving a ton of money on the table right now. Always start with a hook, right? I'm just giving you an example. Sellers are leaving a ton of money on the table right now. And what I found is there's actually 7 ways to get the most amount of money for your home. And I'm giving it to you for free. Click the download below to get your hands on a copy. Okay? You can, by the way, it doesn't have to be video. You can just create an image. Video is very effective, obviously. And you could create, by the way, okay, 7 ways doesn't have to be, so your download, by the way, can be the full-length video. It doesn't have to be a PDF image. So if I say there's 7 ways to get top dollar for your home this spring, I could share 1 or 2 in a short video clip. That's what I'm suggesting in step 2, to create an ad to kind of wet their whistle. You could share 1 or 2, and then for the rest, click below. For the rest, download below. And then they get your full video. Well, in order to get the full video, in step 3, they have to give you their information. So in your video, for instance, let's just say you say, comment top dollar below. A lot of sellers are leaving money on the table right now. I've got 7 ways to put more money in your pocket. Way number 1 is this. Way number 2 is this. And oh, by the way, if you want the rest, comment 7 ways below. Now, all of a sudden, you have engagement on your social media post, and you're using the system we use is ManyChat or PopStore. Some of our agents like ManyChat, some of our agents like PopStore. You're using one of those services to automatically DM the person that reached out. So that's the simplest way to get people to opt in using AI. And if you want to go one step further, once you have their contact information, you then can use a service like Telly, Telli. If they're opted in, you can use a service like Telly, Telly.ai, Telli, to call through every single one of your opted in leads. Now, I don't necessarily recommend this. I know of a handful of agents that are using a service like that to make outbound phone calls to complete strangers. My guess is it's borderline illegal or it may be illegal, and I'm not recommending that. I know of people who are doing it. You can legally do it with people who have opted in to receive information from you. All right, so that is number 10. AI call slash text opt in. Take a picture of the screen or whatever, so that way you have this, you can reference this later. This is how we do it. All right, and then we can have that slide taken down. All right, let's go to the next one. Number 11, geofencing. Geofencing. So this is essentially for especially you can do this with all of them. You can do this with expires. You can do this with for sale by owners. You can do this with hybrid farming. You technically could do this with your database. Geofencing is you give Google a list of addresses to advertise to. Once a month, you can give a list of addresses around expireds. Once a month, you can give a list of addresses around for sale by owners. Once a year, you can give your hybrid farm. And that means geofencing when they open up their apps or when they're searching on Google or when they're just checking the weather, all of a sudden they're seeing your ads. That's geofencing. There's a way you can do it through social media as well, and that takes me to number 12, and that is creating a custom audience with Meta. Creating a custom audience with Meta. Meta is obviously Instagram and Facebook. As long as you have their phone number or email address, which you can get the data from RedX or Vulcan 7, you can create a custom audience. And now all of a sudden, the expireds, the for sale by owners, your hybrid farm, are seeing your ads as they're scrolling Instagram and Facebook. Number 13, DMing through LinkedIn. DMing through LinkedIn. And DMing through LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn is a professional platform, and there might be some value in obviously being connected to some of these people first, so they open up your message. And you have to count on a lot of them going into spam. That's okay. Some people check their spam. And if I send them a message that says, wondering if you're still accepting offers on your home on blank street, they're likely to open it and respond it. So I wrote down underneath these, how many contacts should we be making per day right now? How many contacts should we be making per day right now? I wrote down if you want to sell 25 houses a year, you need to make 10 contacts per day to these four sources. Now, if you're like, well, Jeff, I can make 10 contacts a day to circle prospecting. Nope. It's got to be to one of these four sources. If you want to sell, if you make 10 contacts a day around a neighborhood that you're just cold calling, you're not going to sell 25 houses. It's got to be to one of a combination of these four: expires, for sale by owners, hybrid farming, and database. Okay, if you want to sell 25 homes a year, you have to make 10 contacts per day. This is proven. We've studied it. We do it. And this is 5 days a week. Okay, 10 contacts a day, 5 days per week. By the way, a nice little penalty for yourself. If your goal is 25, if you don't have 50 contacts by Friday, you have to come into the office Saturday morning and make up the difference. So if by Friday you only have 40, you got to come in Saturday and make 10 more contacts. You got to get 50 a week if you want to sell 25 homes a year. If you want to sell 50 homes a year, 50 homes a year is 20 contacts a day. You got to make 20 contacts a day if you want to sell 50 homes a year. 20 contacts a day if you want to sell 50 homes a year to these four sources. And if you want to sell 100, it's 40 contacts a day. Listen, you're learning from a guy who not only has sold thousands of homes. If I've sold thousands of homes, by the way, that means I've made hundreds of thousands of contacts. I wonder if I'm over a million contacts made today. I mean, think about it, how many contacts it takes to get an appointment set. And so if I've sold thousands of homes, then I'm probably up there. Okay, I'm at least in the several hundred. I'm at least over 500,000 contacts that I've made in my career. So I know you got to make 40 a day if you want to sell 100 a year to those sources. So think about the math though. Well, Jeff, 40 contacts a day? Well, first of all, maybe you use AI to help you with that. Maybe you hire an ISA to help you with that. For me, for years and years before Glover U existed, my number was 25 a day, and I would get another 10 to 15 from an ISA. I would get another 10 to 15 contacts from door knocking. I would get another 10 to 15 contacts from doing something outside of just calling, calling, calling. But you have to have a penalty in place if it's going to happen. All right. I know a lot of you have been through or are planning on taking the new listing mastery course. I go deeper into a lot of this stuff. So for those of you that are wondering, like, hey, I need to know what scripts to use, I need to know what order I should call, I need to know who to call when, I answer all of those questions in listing mastery. I'll share it with you on the at the end if you want to stay on for that. Okay. So we're going to shift gears and we're going to talk about getting listings sold. And I need you to know something right now. Listings sell because of the value, period. I'm going to repeat that. A listing sells because of the value of that listing. What makes up value? What makes up value is the features and the benefits for the price. A listing will sell or it won't sell because of its value. What makes up value? The features and benefits for the price. So as long as we're on the same page that a listing will sell because of its value, then there's actually only two ways to increase a home's value. Think about this for a second. And by the way, this is the same dialogue I use with sellers. You can either add more updates, you can add more features, you can add more benefits and keep the price exactly where it's at. And that raises the value of the listing. Or don't touch a thing, keep it exactly right where it's at, but you reduce the price and that raises the value. So there's only two ways to to raise a listing's value today. Keep everything where it's at and reduce the price, or keep the price exactly where it's at and improve the value by improving, updates, improvements, and so forth. And so since we are all on the same page that it really is the value that sells a listing, and since most agents don't want, or I'm sorry, since most consumers don't want to put money into something they are selling, then the value becomes mostly about the price. And so I'm going to say something to you that you initially might reject because the days on market in your market are higher today than they've been in a while. We just looked at our market stats yesterday. Metro Detroit days on market is 43 days on the market. In fact, I'm curious, what is the average days on market in your market? Not your data. What is your market data? Drop that in the chat. I want to know how many days on market is the average in your market. Good to see you, Brandon. Thanks for being on. How many days? What's the average according to your MLS? Not yours. I know you're better than the average. Okay, 40, 85. I see a lot of 40s. 21 where Maria's at. 30, okay, 48. Watch. Last week, I made a statement, and I want you to remember this for the rest of your career. Sue, thanks for being on in Ohio, 38 days. I want you to understand this because I had a lot of agents fight me on this statement. Okay, so I'm going to make the statement and I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't fight me on it. Okay, 93 days, Jen. Wow. If the listing is on the market for more than 14 days, it's probably overpriced. And if it's on the market for more than 30, I guarantee you it's overpriced. I don't care what market you're in. I don't care how you slice it. And everyone fought me on this because they'd come back during the last tour. They say, well, Jeff, don't you know our days on market is like double that? Don't you know our days on market is like 81 days on market right now? I don't care what your average days on market is in your market. I know that if the listing's been on the market for 14 days, it's probably overpriced. And if it's been on the market for over 30 days, I guarantee you it's overpriced. Do you want to know why I don't care what your average days on market is? Because watch, average days on market is data that's generated by average listings that sell. Average listings that sell are sold by average agents who sell them. You're not average. So I don't care that your average is 47 days right now or 62 days right now. You're not average. The average data comes from the average listings that sell by average agents who sell them. That's not you. So, Jeff, all right, I get it. I'm better than average. Fine. I can agree with that. But should I set a goal on this? Yes, your goal should be whatever the average is in your market. Okay, if the average is 80, your goal is 40. If the average is 40, your goal is 20. If the average is 50, your goal is 25. Basically, whatever the average is, I want you to cut it in half. Why? Because there's three things that sellers care about right now in a softer market. There's three things that sellers care about right now. Number one, they're asking again. I know because I'm going on appointments and I'm getting these questions just like you are. And if they're not asking, they're wondering. So you should be sharing these things anyways. These things are going to help you get more listings when you're at the table. You need to know these three things for you personally. What is your average days on market compared to the market? What is your average days on market compared to the market? Yes. And by the way, there are exceptions for, right, ultra luxury, commercial, vacant land. Yes, correct. If remove like the top 10% of your price point, I'm talking about 90% of your market. 14%, it's probably over, I'm sorry, 14 days, it's probably overpriced. 30 days, I guarantee you it's overpriced. So watch. Three things they care about. Number one, what's your average days on market compared to the market? Number two, what do they care about? They care about what percentage of your listings actually sell right now because they know they're not all selling. I was just on an appointment the other day in Farmington Hills, Michigan. The sellers asked me about how long I think it would take to get it sold. And I said between 2 and 3 weeks. And they said, Jeff, we're seeing a lot of signs in our neighborhood that have been up for more than a month. Are you sure about that? Yep, I'm sure about that. And you're right. I'm not surprised that they're sitting for more than a month because the market's average days on market is 43 days. So it makes sense that you've seen them for over a month. But my average is 22 days. So I'm actually cutting the days on market average in half. And so, yes, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we're looking at about 2 to 3 weeks of market time. Mic drop. That is what sellers care about right now. Average days on market compared to the market. Number two, what percentage of your listings actually sell? What percentage of your listings actually sell? You take 10, you sell 9, you're at 90%. You take 10, you sell 8, you're at 80%. The third thing they care about is the third thing they care about is list price to sales price ratio. List price to sales price ratio. Those three areas, all right? So I want to share with you quickly with the time we have left what I'm the steps that I'm following to get price reductions right now. I'm going to help you get more sold real quick. Write these down fast, okay? Because we're going to go right to the top of the hour. Step one, when you're attempting to get the reduction, you always review the feedback with them first. Always start off by reviewing the feedback with them first. Why? Because I want to remind them that they're not selling because of what everyone is saying about their home. I want to remind them that it's not me, it's the buyer saying this. Always remind them of their feedback first. That's step one. I'll answer your question, Amy. Step two, refresh their memory of the one of three things convo. Refresh their memory of the one of three things convo. So at the end of my listing appointment, if you haven't seen it yet, for those of you that are going to join me for listing mastery, I'll tell you how at the end, we're going to dissect my listing appointment from start to finish. I'm going to give you my entire listing appointment from start to finish. We've rewritten the entire thing. The free scripts that you can download from Glover U, yep, the listing presentation script is getting rewritten. I just demonstrated it last week during the summit. What is the one of three things? Well, the one of three things convo is when I take your listing, one of three things is going to happen. Either we're going to get a lot of showings and a lot of interest, and that means we did everything right. This is going to help you with that, with your question, Amy. We're going to get a lot of showings. We're going to get a lot of interest. That means we did everything right. Or number two, we're going to get some interest, but probably no offers. And that means we're in the ballpark, but we just started a little bit too high. In my experience, maybe 3 to 5% too high. Or number three, we're going to get little to no offers and certainly no show and definitely no showings. And that, I'm sorry, we're going to get little to no showings and definitely no offers. And that means we absolutely started too high. In my experience, when that happens, about 5 to 7% too high. In step two, I'm refreshing their memory That conversation takes place at the kitchen table because the price reduction starts at the kitchen table. So I'm refreshing their memory of that conversation because I had that conversation on my way out. I shake their hand. I say, thank you for your listing. Again, you're going to see this in my listing presentation for those of you that join me in Listing Mastery. I shake their hand. I say, thank you for the opportunity. I look forward to going to work for you. Now I want to let you know one of three things is going to happen in the next 2 weeks. So that when I call them in 2 weeks to get the price reduction, I say, now, do you remember when I left your home? I said one of three things would happen. I want to let you know we are number two. We had some showings, but no offers. That means we started just a tad too high. So refresh their memory of the conversation you had at the kitchen table. That's number two. Step three, always remind them of their motivation. Always remind them of their motivation. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, the goal is still to get to Florida, right? I just checked the weather. This weekend, it's going to be 79 degrees in Miami. Is your goal still to get down to Miami? Right? Like, yeah, that's our goal, Jeff. And you want to be moved this winter, I assume, right? That's the goal. Okay. Always refresh, always remind them of why they're moving in the first place. If you remind them of why they're moving in the first place, they're more likely to take your advice. Okay, that's step three. Step four, make the recommendation for the new price. So I review the feedback, I refresh their memory on the one of three things convo, I remind them of why they're moving, and then number four, I make the recommendation of the new price. In step five, I let them know that we're doing everything to sell their home, that we're doing for the other. This is a script, write this down. In step five, I let them know we're doing everything to sell their home that we did for the other 13 sellers that our office just got under contract so far this year. Because they always say, well, what are you doing to sell my home? What do you do? Tell me what you're doing to sell my home. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you need to know I'm doing everything to sell your home that I just did for the other 13 sellers that we put under contract so far this year. Now, use your office stats, use your brokerage stats, use your team stats. If you're like, Jeff, I haven't sold 13 homes this year. I bet your office has. I bet your company has. I bet, in the last 30 days you have. Someone has within your firm. Use that data. Use the we language, not me language there. The next step, handle their pricing objections. They're going to give you objections. Okay. For those of you joining me in Listing Mastery, I got 10 different pricing handlers for you that I'm going to cover in deep detail. Be ready for objections. They're going to give you pricing objections. And then once you handle those objections, finally close for the reduction once more. Close for the reduction once more. Okay. So I want to share with you, you guys have an opportunity to be the first group through the new Listing Mastery. Okay. Now, just so we're clear, there's probably a lot of you on that have taken Listing Mastery before. Every time I do Listing Mastery, it gets an update. Why? Because I'm in the trenches with you. I don't need to go back and think about things I did a year or two ago. I'm writing them right now. The meeting I had before this, I met with our content writer, and we were going through Sales Rocket and updating sessions in real time based on what's happening right now. And so you guys are going to have an opportunity to be the first group through the brand new Listing Mastery, which means you're going to see the new listing appointment. All right. I've added things like, for instance, how to get sellers to accept low offers. Basically, whatever's happening in your market is happening in mine, and I know how to still win in this kind of a market. So you're going to get, this is the only program, if I can have them throw up on the screen, the Listing Mastery program. This is the only program that I personally teach. Okay, people always ask the question, Jeff, how do I get to coach with you? Here's your answer. Okay, I only have 6 one-on-one coaching clients. I have a waiting list for those. I'm not interested in taking on more one-on-one clients right now, but I do this class every week for an hour live. And you get to ask me any questions in the chat. We have a private Facebook group. You're working directly with me. It's not recorded. It is interactive. You get to unmute yourself. You get to ask questions. You're working with me live, and we're going to spend 16 weeks together. If you want more information on Listing Mastery, just text the word listing to 55444. I'll have them throw that in the chat as well. Text the word listing to 55444. It's once a week for an hour. It's on Mondays at noon Eastern. If you have to miss one, you get the recording. It's called 2.0 because Every single session has been updated. It says 50% new content, but I can tell you every session has had an update to it. My favorite part is you guys will be the first group to get the new listing appointment. This is the 2026 listing appointment. So I know you've probably had your hands on our scripts for a long time. You can't even get this script, all right? The listing appointment script is not going to be released to the public for probably another 6 months. You have to go through Listing Mastery to get it. And so you're going to get the recording of my actual appointment. We're going to dissect the appointment. And here's what's really fun: you get to submit your listing appointment to me. I will review it and give you feedback. I will review it and give you suggestions on how you can get better at it. Okay, I got a few more to get to from our last Listing Mastery course that I'm going to go through the next few days here and get them their feedback. And I actually watch your listing appointment and give you suggestions on how you can get better. Anyways, it's 45 minutes of instruction, 15 minutes of Q&A for 16 weeks straight. Everything from all of our sources of business. Where are our listings coming from right now? Those sources I shared with you, hybrid farming, for instance, we do one full session just on hybrid farming. We do one full session on our entire expired plan. I do one full session just on for sale by owners. I do 2.5 sessions on database. How are we getting listings from our database? If we're getting anywhere from 60 to 70 listings per month right now, then you have to know where they're coming from. So we cover everything from start to finish: lead generation, lead conversion, lead follow up, the presentation, what happens before the appointment, the pre appointment package. Jeff, what do you send out before you go on an appointment? You get all of that. What happens after the appointment? How do we get them sold? The pricing handlers, it is the most complete listing system we have. All right. If you want to join us again one last time, text the word listing to 55444. And Sue, to answer your question, it starts on Monday. Let's see. I believe it's Monday, February 2nd. Yes. So we're starting in like a week, Monday, February 2nd. If you text the word listing to 55444, you'll get the document with all the information. And also, we'll have someone reach out to you and they'll answer those questions because it might start, Monday the 9th. I don't know. So we'll have somebody reach out to you, Sue, and anyone else. Just text listing to 55444. You get all of the details. Okay. There's so many. I mean, we have people that have been graduates of it for 4 or 5 years now. The last thing I want to that have gone through it 4 or 5 years now, repeatedly taking it once or twice a year. The last thing I want to share with you, if we could throw that up on the screen, save the date. Okay, save the date. This is the last time we will be at the retreat in 2026. It is June, not the 25th through the 18th. So I'll have them throw that in the chat. That's just a quick little typo there. We'll have them throw the actual dates in the chat. That'd be an interesting conference. We're going to start on the 25th and we're going to end on the 18th. All right. No, it is a 3.5 day event. It's our last time in Traverse City. So for those of you that missed out on the summit last week, do not miss out on the retreat. It's our last time there. It's the most beautiful time of the year to be there. Right now, she's fixing it right. Look at that. Right live in the moment. There we go. Thank you. June 15th through the 18th. There it is. gloveru.com/retreat. Save the date for that one. Get your early bird ticket. I will see many of you in Listing Mastery, and I'll see the rest of you this summer. By the way, we've got more webinars coming up. gloveru.com/webinars. We got 3 more next week. Join us for those. I promise we won't let you down. Let's go have an amazing rest of the month. Kick butt. See you guys. Bye-bye.